Hey guys, Scott here, and today we're going to talk about the developer update for August. This is going to be what's coming with Wesker's patch, which should be in a week from now or August 30th. And it seems like they've made a lot of really, really good changes again, which is pretty strange. The last little update they did was pretty stupid, but the one before that was great. It seems like they're making a lot of good changes. Also, at the same time, Path of Exile's developers have been making a lot more dumb changes based on the fact they think they know what's better. I'm beginning to think somehow behavior is draining Path of Exile's energy to become better. That's a separate video. So first, let's go over the blood web costs. And basically, what they're doing is reducing the grind actually by about 33%, but they're not doing it by giving us more blood points. They're doing it by making everything cost less. And I think this is a really good idea because this also makes it so when you get blood points from other sources like dailies or store codes, things like that, the tome and all that stuff, now you're getting more value out of those blood points too, or normally those things would not be affected by something like barbecue and chili. You can't double the blood points gained from a tome challenge being completed and stuff like that. So I think this is actually a really, really nice way to address it. And so what they're doing is just making it everything just cost less. And that's a really good idea, in my opinion, because the new system was really painful for people that didn't want to main every single killer in the game. Because the more killers you played, the more this new system they made would benefit you. But if you really only played one survivor or one or two or even three killers, you barely benefited from the system at all. And in fact, the removal of barbecue and chili made it even harder to grind stuff. So this is a good way to sort of counteract that. Now we've got sort of the reduced grind there. Now we've got things costing less, and now we're actually in some territory where things are actually beginning to cost less, which is great. So I think this is a very good systematic change that everyone is going to be happy with. I can't see a single reason to complain about this. And so that's just like getting basically everyone just permanently gets 2 stacks of barbecue and chili, or 2 stacks if we're going to live forever every match. That's what the effective result is from this. So that is a very good idea. No complaints. Well done. Next, camping and tunneling. So in this past mid chapter, we added 5-second endurance and haste effects to all unhooked survivors. Basically, what they're saying is it wasn't enough, because it wasn't. 5 seconds is really not enough. It's a nice thing to have, but it's not hard for a killer to wait 5 seconds. So what they're doing is basically the exact thing I suggested they do is buff it to 10 seconds and remove collision so you can't body block during this time. Seems like they went halfway, where now we have a base 10-second endurance, which is nice. And also the haste goes up to 10%, which is pretty significant. That's a lot. That basically makes a survivor hunter speed during that time, which is very significant. And also, it's going to be 10 seconds now, which is good. I just think they do need to add the caveat that you do not have collision when you have this haste effect and when you have this endurance effect. Otherwise, you're going to get scenarios where survivors can body block for 10 seconds for free, which I don't think is the intended path for this. This is to prevent tunneling, but if you make it so survivors can aggressively body block, that's not a good idea. So they're so close. They just need to make it so during this window you have no collision, so you can just walk through them and hit the person that's unhooking. That way you do not have to tunnel. Because if someone does body block during that time, you're basically forced to tunnel them again, which solves nothing. So just remove collision during that 10-second window, and I think we're good. Additionally, there's been suggestions for like removing it at endgame, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think it's fine right now, because if you remove this at endgame, you're pretty much guaranteeing whoever is on the hook when the game is over is going to die. So you're going from a potential free survivor escape to a potential free killer escape, but it's not guaranteed for the survivors, because the killer can just hit the unhooker and then down the unhooker instead, and then start a rotation of hooks and stuff like that. Whereas if you don't have that at all, then the survivor that is on the hook when the game ends is just going to die. Like you're not going to prevent that. So I think I'm pretty neutral about that. We'll see how this goes. If they did decide to disable this effect during endgame, I certainly wouldn't complain, but I'm also not going to complain about having it too. So I think it's fine. They just need to make it so there's no collision during this time, and it's absolutely perfect. So very, very close, but this might be a bit too on the survivor side now, because I think aggressive body blocks are going to kind of sully what is actually a very nice change. Medal of Man. So basically what they did here is make it so the endurance effect you get from Medal of Man is not removed by conspicuous actions now. So that actually makes it a lot better. So now it only takes 2 hits to activate, and also it's not disabled when you're touching a generator or healing someone. So Medal of Man is actually kind of useful now, because it only takes 2 hits to set up. I don't see anything about them making it take 3 hits again. But now you can also continue repairing gens and being useful. So now Metal Man actually back to being useful. Well, I say back to being useful. It's actually pretty damn useful now. So I think Metal Man is no longer a meme perk because you are able to keep the endurance effect now and still be useful to your team. So that's pretty good. I still think the counterbalance of Metal Man is the fact that survivors have to keep going in the killer's face, getting hits, leaving, and healing. So you're investing time not on gens and running to the person that's, you're trying to protect, and then you have to invest in time healing. So there's still a time investment there, but now you're actually getting rewarded for it by having the endurance status effect, which is pretty good. Next, PTB changes for Raccoon City Police Station. Basically, all they've said, this is harder to talk about without seeing it. It said they removed some pallets, which I think they needed to because it was stupid. God, the main lobby with the 2 God pallets on the stairs, and then it was like a guaranteed loop if you take the right side when you take the vault and stuff like that. It was ridiculous. So I am glad they're removing some pallets there. Well, we'll see what they do there. I don't really know what that's going to look like until we see it. So overall, I think that's inherently a good thing, but yeah, we'll see. Next, Wesker. The changes they made to Wesker make me think Wesker is going to be actually really damn good. So one of the biggest complaints that they talk about here is that Wesker's collision and his hitboxes, or hurt boxes, I guess, were a bit too generous. They were too wide. Now, this had the effect of making it way too easy to hit survivors with your power. In fact, they could be nowhere on your screen and they would get vacuumed into you. And that was a stupid feeling. But also on the killer side, for frustration, you would collide with things that you very clearly were not colliding with. So it made his power kind of frustrating. It's kind of like how the original Blight was on PTB, where it was very frustrating playing him because you would just be bumping into air and then you couldn't actually use your power. So it seems like what they're doing is making it so that is smaller. Now, this has a side effect of making him harder to use because you have to be more precise with your aiming. But I think that's a good thing. I think that's exactly what they needed to do. Now his skill cap is raised. You don't get free hits, but also it's harder to hit people. But also you can control the power now. So that is going to make him, I think, better overall, despite being a bit harder to learn, which is, that's a very good change. Also, that thing in the PTB where you would hit somebody while they were vaulting, nothing would happen on the PTB. Now they're making it so that damages them. So that was actually a bug, and that's very powerful. So now we can actually get people that are going for a vault. So now think about entering a jungle gym from one side. You do your first slide, they go for the window, and you just do your second slide, and you can hit people out the window. And as they're vaulting, they get hit. That's very, very strong. So that is going to drastically increase his power at certain like tiles that have, jungle gyms with straight walls and stuff like that. So I think this makes him like better than Demogorgon now because he's basically got 2 demo lunges. That's just very, very strong. And they also removed the thing where survivors could vault back and forth, preventing Wesker from vaulting while in his power. So yeah, just really, really strong overall. That's a lot of improvements. They also buffed the movement speed he has between his 2 charges. So when you use his power, you charge and then you wait for you have like a 2-second window to charge again. And during this time, you move really, really slowly. They seem to have increased that movement speed by a ton from 2.3 to 2.76, which is very significant. So they're making that window a lot more manageable too. So you can do it there and then kind of like walk around the corner a little bit and then continue going. Especially if you combine that with the add-ons. I think it was the egg or something that makes it so you can hold that for even longer. And there's also add-ons that make it so you move even faster during that. So it is going to be pretty damn good. And then they're talking about the actual collision detection part here too. So I think that is very strong. And they also have now made it so if you throw a survivor into another survivor, they go from full to deep wound. It used to be from injured to deep wound, I believe. But now it seems like it's from full to deep wound. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me on that. But that's, I think, what this whole part is talking about here. But yeah, that's Wesker's going to be good, man. I already thought Wesker was good on the PTB, and that was with the kind of shitty collision. But now with more precise collision, Wesker's going to be really, really strong in chase. And I think he might be really fun too, but we'll see. But I'm very, very much looking forward to playing him now. I think he's going to be a solid A-tier killer. I'm actually pretty hopeful about him. Next, perks. So Reassurance, what they're doing for Reassurance is, I think, an extremely smart solution for it, because Reassurance had the issue of making it so survivors could basically troll a person on a hook and just keep them alive indefinitely and basically hold the game hostage in that way. So they needed to address that without making the perk worse. So what they did is just entirely remove the cooldown, but now it only works once per hook stage per person. So you can still have 3 people use it and add 90 seconds total per hook stage, but now it's only 1 hook stage per person, and I think that's fair. There shouldn't really be too many scenarios where you're having to use this 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a row. By then, the game should be over at that point. So I think this is a completely fair change. It'll still heavily reduce camping. It'll heavily punish it, but now you can't hold survivors hostage that just want to die or the match is over at that point. I think that's probably the best change they could have done. I could not have thought of anything better. That's pretty much perfect. Awakened Awareness was nerfed. They removed that lingering aura effect. And the reason they did this basically was just because of Nurse, which is stupid. I hate when they just balance things solely because Nurse exists. Nurse is an abomination. You don't balance based off of Nurse. She shouldn't exist to begin with. She just ignores most of the mechanics of the game. You can't balance around the Nurse having that. That being said, I get Starstruck, Agitation, Awaken, Awareness, Nurse would just be the most broken thing in the game, but Nurse is already the most broken thing in the game. You can't make the most broken thing in the game more the most broken thing in the game. So I think this is dumb. I don't think people are going to really use this perk anymore. The lingering effect was really nice because after you hook, you want to take a look and see where they currently are. That's the whole point. And now that's gone for everybody. So I think that's a stupid change that caters entirely to Nurse, which is not a good idea. But at the same time, I'm glad that they're thinking of these scenarios. I'm glad that they understand that, yes, with Nurse, this is going to be a huge problem. I like that. But they have to realize the problem is Nurse, not every other thing in the game that could potentially go on Nurse. Low profile, they're making it so that you get the effects if you're the only survivor that's not incapacitated, which I think is a great change that should apply to the other perks that are really terrible in this category, like Soul Survivor and Left Behind. They should make it so if you're the only survivor that's currently able to move, basically if you're not on the hook, you're not down, you're not slugged, and you're not dead, then this perk activates. And I think if you did that with Left Behind too, so you have that insane gen repair bonus, that would actually make the perk usable mid-match. And I think they should apply that to all the style of perks. I still think this perk sucks though. But I like the idea of them making the soul perks, like when you're the last survivor, work when you're not literally the last survivor, but you're the last survivor able to move. Better than new. It seems like you're going to get a 6% action speed bonus to repairing, but they're making it so you get a 16% bonus to healing, chest opening, and totem cleansing and blessing. That's fine. I mean, that's not really super impactful. It's not like it affects vaults or repairs or anything like that. So, and now it lasts forever until you're hit again. But, cleansing a totem 1.5 seconds faster, or healing, 1 second, 1 second, 2 seconds faster. It's whatever. It's not really that impactful at all. And yeah, it stacks with other things too. So maybe stacking this with Counterforce or something could be a funny destroyed meme totems build, but yeah, overall, I still don't think this perk is really good enough to actually use. But it's very dangerous too, because if you buff repair speed bonuses like that, it's a very slippery slope, and they have to be very conservative with that stuff because they did not touch hyperfocus at all. And I'm still very concerned about hyperfocus stakeout. This is not happening in combos, especially with toolboxes. I still think they should make it not work with toolboxes, because toolboxes give you too many skill checks, so you're going to get immense time saves, and the fact that everybody can run these builds too. I am the most worried about hyperfocus and stakeout and toolboxes more than anything else in this patch, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Overall, though, I think this is an excellent update. Again, they're doing a really good job, which is still very strange to say, but I'm very happy with like almost all of these changes, and I think they are almost universally good. So I'm really excited for Wesker. He's going to be an absolute menace. He might be too strong. I don't know. We'll see. But that is it. Hope you guys are going to enjoy this patch. I feel like I am going to. And that is going to be it for me. Ooh, Final Fantasy done.